And so you formulate a nice, put together, grammatically correct prayer that sounds and that is able to be received by but when you get alone with God, you say, God, this me. I ain't got to pretend. I ain't got to fake. This me. God, I come to you. And so we get deeper by engaging and spending time with Him in prayer. We get deeper and more grounded by spending time with Him in worship. Simply worshiping God. Now, worshiping ought to not only be a Sunday morning experience, but worship should be a 24/7 experience. That is, I said it on Wednesday night, it ought to be where there is a fragrance that come off of my life, that goes up into the nostril of God, that makes God happy about me. It is when God can look at me on Monday and say, that's my boy, look at how he carrying himself. On Tuesday, that's my girl, look at how she carrying herself. On Wednesday, that's my boy, look at how he carrying himself. He could have lied, but he didn't lie. He could have steal the money, but he didn't take it. He could have had sex with the girl, but he didn't do it. Look at my boy, he's doing well. He could have gossiped with that person, but he didn't do it. She could have done that, he could have done that, but they didn't do it. Why? Because they are in love with God. And so there's a fragrance that goes off of your life because of your connection with God. And you want to please God so much so by leading a life that is acceptable in His sight. I said this morning and said again, how many of you have children who, when they do well, you button up your jacket, you're the lady, you get your stuff together, you put your chest out and say, look at my child. But then when they do something, they say, that's my child, what's wrong with him? You know, you hide because, that's my child. Why, Lord? You want God to be able to look at my child. Look at my child on his job. Look at my child in the house. Look at my child in the community. Look at how, that's what God said. God said to the devil, you ain't see Job. On Monday, you can't trick him. On Wednesday, Job is a man who living for me, even in the midst of a morally depraved world. Say, Job is, have you considered, listen, it would be great for God to be able to say about you, have you considered my, God was boasting about Job, because Job lived a life of worship. And then when we come together on Sunday morning, we have an explosion. We have an explosion out of having worship on Monday, on Tuesday, on Wednesday, on Thursday, on Friday, on Saturday. And then we have an explosion on Sunday morning as we bring all of these charged batteries together and we celebrate the goodness of our God. Because He is a great God. Let me carry on quickly. We get deeper in Him and rooted in Him by fellowshipping with each other. You can be saved and be strong in the Lord and in the power of His might. And anyone come to church, tell me you got TV church. Pastor, I just watch them on TV. And so I have church by myself. Well, my Bible says, don't forsake the assembling of yourself together. Now, I know that's King James English, but it sounds pretty clear to me. What he's saying is don't forsake coming to church. Why does the Bible say that? Well, it says that because when we come together, iron sharpens iron. You get some strength, I get some strength, but when we connect it together, we are stronger. I may be discouraged, but there may be something you may simply say, a simple word that may lift me up and cause me to believe that I can run on and journey on again. And so now, when we come to the house of God and we fellowship with each other, we are encouraged to continue on with Jesus. We are encouraged to continue to fight. We are encouraged to continue running the race of faith. And so we encourage each other. You'll be surprised to know how many Sundays I came to church discouraged, but somebody sang a song that just touched something. And you see, you gotta come to church because the baby didn't jump until Mary came in Elizabeth's presence. You gotta understand, sometimes you'll be discouraged. But when you come into the presence of the real people of God, they will cause something inside of you to jump and cause you to be encouraged. And whereas you felt like throwing in the towel, you will say, I feel like pressing on. I feel like pushing my way, because I don't believe He brought me this far to leave me. Somebody will say a word that simply pick you up, because we come together and encourage one another. Tell your neighbor, I'm so glad that you have encouraged me, and I pray God that He'd use me to encourage you so that we continue on together. And so He says we come together and we get deeper. We get deeper. Anybody feel like going deeper? Peter didn't catch the fish till he went deeper. He just launched a little bit into the deep. And when he launched in the deep, Jesus blew his mind. So much so that he said, Jesus, get away from me, because man, how did you do that? He was amazed at the draught of fish that he caught. But it wasn't until he decided to go deeper. And so you got to make up your mind, and I'm going deeper in Jesus. Paul said to these Christians, listen, if you get rooted and grounded, if you keep focused, if you get rooted and you build your life on Him, he says, you'll be able to stand in the midst of where you are. Why? In conclusion, because you are in a privileged position. You got to understand that while this one doing that and that one doing that, you got to understand who you have. In my conclusion, I go back to my introduction. And so Paul says, don't be like the Indians. You got the real thing. You got something that is valuable. You got gold. You got Jesus. And so he says, don't leave Jesus to go and embrace and journey on with someone else. He says, no, you got the real thing. Tell the Spaniards go home. Tell Columbus go back. Tell the heretics. Tell the dynastics. Tell the Judaizers that they can keep what they got. Because what I got is the real thing. I got Jesus. And to prove it, Paul says, in Him the fullness of the Godhead dwell. That is, He's fully God and He's fully man. Tell the Gnostics that, listen, while they're going to these angels and the angel and the angel, I am standing on the one and only mediator between God and man. And so while they're going through that and that and that, I am connected over here, and I ain't about to lose this connection for this foolishness you got going on over here. There's too much static in this line, but this line is connected well because I'm connected to Jesus Christ. Is there anybody in the house of God who know that they know what they know, that they are connected to Jesus and then about to leave the rock upon which they stand? The songwriter says, on Christ, the solid rock I stand. All of the ground is sinking sand. I'm not about to drown in sinking sand when I'm standing on the solid rock. God's Son, Mary's boy child, the Lamb of God, the lily of the valley, the bright and morning star, the bread of life, the door of life. When I'm standing on Jesus, I shall not be moved. Is there anybody who would dare to tell the devil, you've been trying, but my anchor is too deep? I shall not be moved. Wind blow if you want, storm clouds rise if you want, but I shall not be moved. I'm rooted, baby. I'm anchored in Jesus Christ. And if you're standing on Him, don't move, because He's all you need. If you're standing on Him, now ain't the time to give up. He is all you need. If you're standing on Him, don't turn around. Now ain't the time. He's all that you really need. He's Jesus, God's Son. He's all. So Paul said to them, the same way you started standing on Jesus, he said,